Now that Lionel Messi has added another UEFA Champions League trophy to his numerous accolades, is he the... You just need to picture it. Every time that wins, there's a winner of a video. Anyway.
Just thinking about it. It's so funny. Every time.
So we're going to face this argument.
We have to explain. The GOAT, greatest of all time.
Oh, do you think we had to explain that? If someone doesn't get that, you shouldn't be watching G.O.A.T Sports. We're very witty.
In the comment section. Thank you, Jason, for explaining the obvious.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Captain Obvious. Do you like those commercials? They're really good, actually.
Reporting for duty.
So he's won it again. He's phenomenal, right? And we've got a card here that shows his season again, another unbelievable season to wrap underneath his belt. But there's still going to be those questions about whether or not he is the greatest of all time.
Well, and understandably so.
You're well with so high pitched.
Well, understandably so. Lionel Messi, for a reason, is going to be considered like the greatest of all time by some. But the argument comes up, and I don't mean to bring this back to the NBA, but really quickly, we do this with LeBron, Michael, and Kobe all the time.
They play in the World Cup?
No, they didn't play. Well, in the World Cup of basketball, but in like the Olympics. But what I'm saying though is, we as a generation, millennials, love to compare the greatest of all time to the greatest, like to put them in that category. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the most fun thing in the world to do. I love stacking the stats and the accolades and the championships next to each other. But one of the things that I think is very fair to say is, like Pelé, like Brazilian Ronaldo, and like Diego Maradona, and this is all information that I've come to learn in retrospect because I got to watch all these highlights and catch up, thanks to Francis for most of it, is like we'll never see another Maradona again, we won't ever see another Messi again, and credit where credit's due, we won't see another Ronaldo again. Mm-hmm. They're different in their own way. But in terms of greatest of all time, help me. Why does a World Cup really need to be won? And if he does, he's basically got 2 more shots. Would that solidify it?
So I'm going to agree with one of the sports anchors that comes on here now and again, Pablo. It's not just Diego Maradona's ability to win the World Cup, in which he was just frighteningly good. It's just Messi has a very similar aspect to his game, the way that he can influence a game simply by beating players, just being so innovative in the way that he doesn't need his players around him to score goals, which is phenomenal in the world of football because a lot of the time you're outnumbered. There's 11 versus 11. It's very hard to win games just on your own, but as we saw against Athletic Bilbao...
Look what he did to Bilbao. That was 1 versus 5, and they didn't stand a chance.
And Maradona did that numerous times as well for him. But what Maradona did is he went to Team Napoli in Italy, and he turned a team that had no right to be a dynasty into a dynasty for them. And he had the ability to do that. And he won Argentina the World Cup, not just on his own. He had great players around him, but he was by far and away the standout. Pelé, when he won it, I can't speak literally. Some people will go out there and they'll try and quote, oh, what about Pelé in this? And I will take that into consideration if you watched it. Yes, you can watch the highlights, you can watch the recaps, but I didn't watch that World Cup. I watched the highlights and I watched how Zico played with them, Rivellino played with them. These guys that are phenomenal footballers that would stand out. Right. Lionel Messi, in this World Cup, Di Maria was said to be needed in the World Cup final for them to win it. So for me, that kind of raises a little bit of a flag to think, all right, well, if you needed Di Maria, who is a great player and plays well with them, then obviously he's a phenomenal player. But to think that Messi didn't have enough in his bag to win it himself, that's not true. He could have won that World Cup if he was. I didn't think he was at the races in the final game the way he has been in many other previous games, the way he turns games against Bayern Munich in the first leg in the top of the head. Like, he wasn't like that in the final against Germany. But I don't think that takes away from his ability to captivate an audience, his ability to do things with the ball that I don't think anyone's ever seen, and score more goals than anyone's ever seen. So I think that, for me, he is still the greatest of all time. Doesn't matter whether he needs to win a World Cup or not. It's a different era now. Teams are better.
That's what's so interesting, because another thing we're forgetting is he has another chance to add, yet somehow in the same season of play, another trophy. Yeah. And you got to look, and that's the Copa America. Yeah. And I keep thinking to myself, let's say Argentina wins the Copa America, which they very well can. I'm sure they're one of the favored teams to win. You have to think back and go, how many times, and again, my football knowledge and my footballing observations go back not too long ago, but I can't imagine how many times any one player has been a part of a team that was in the World Cup final, that won a league title, their tournament, the Champions League, and potentially another tournament. Yeah. It just, to me, is in terms of greatness, you tweeted out when LeBron won the Eastern Conference Finals with the Cavaliers to go to the NBA Finals, which are right now against the Golden State Warriors, for those who don't know. You tweeted out, you can't deny when you're watching greatness, and greatness deserves accolades.
Yes.
That's how I feel when I watch Messi. And again, Ronaldo too. Like, you said we've been blessed to be able to watch two of the greatest to ever play the game at the same time, which I then realized I couldn't imagine if Michael and LeBron played at the same time in the 90s.
Yeah, it's just
like, it's insane to me.
I like to compare basketball as well, because this argument, when I first came to the United States, was between LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, and now you've got someone like Steph Curry who's coming up in the ranks. So it's unbelievable, an amazing season, but I think I'm going to maybe just go out on a limb. It's much easier for one person to influence a basketball game.
I think basketball is the only sport where one player can come in and win essentially by himself.
Yeah.
So in football,
I'm taking the World Cup.
11 players
The World Cup is the prime example. That Germany team, I don't care how good Messi is. I don't care if you think he is the best player in the world. That Germany team deserved to win the World Cup as a team, a well-rounded team, possession football, beautiful build-up play. And for me, they deserve to win the World Cup. If Di Maria was playing or not, I still think that Germany, whether or not they would have won, I think Germany deserved that trophy in the end. And I think that it's harsh on Messi to think that he will never be considered the greatest of all time without that World Cup, because when you look back at the times when it's Maradona and them, the game's evolved nearly 20 years. Players have got faster, stronger. The game has moved on so much that it's not just good enough to be just good enough to be gifted at the game. Messi's gifted, but people overlook how fast, how strong, how low, his low center of gravity, how much he can hold up play, how smart he is as a player. Your technical ability can only get you so far now in the world of football. You have to add all these things.
His football IQ is unparalleled.
Yes.
When you see the game that way, it puts you on a different level. You say he's always, great players are a step ahead. He's 4 steps ahead.
Yeah.
One of the other things, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it brings me to a point. When Italy won in 2006, 2010.
No, 2006.
2006, and Spain won in 2010. Yeah. Could you give me a player off those teams that got theirs?
Cannavaro for Italy.
He got his World Cup.
I guess
my main point on this is it's amazing to me how with greatness and when we put players in those categories, we go, they got to keep winning.
Yeah.
Messi just won the Champions League. Yeah. If he doesn't do it next year, well, how great was he really? Yeah. Think about it when you speak. But at the same time, you have players like that of Spain and Italy who got their World Cup, who got their one, or a Champions League. Stevie G got his one. He got his deserving one Champions League.
But then it's the same thing. It's the same thing. People will always pick apart the one that they didn't get. Like Stevie G never won a Premier League, so he's now never considered one of the best all-round midfielders to have ever played because he never won his domestic league.
Premier League.
He didn't win a Premier League. He won a Champions League, and the same with Buffon. He won a World Cup 2006 in that very same stadium, but he's never won a Champions League.
Yeah, that's gotta be hard.
It's really hard.
That's got to be a little heartbreaking to be back in that stadium.
But you can only rely on so much. Buffon, on paper, in that game did probably a lot more than anyone expected for him to do against Barcelona, but he still didn't get the trophy because the rest of his team just didn't compete with how much quality there was in that Barcelona team. So you mentioned one player. For me, Cannavaro he's a small Italian defender. I used to love watching him. And he was instrumental in their 2006 World Cup, and he made that team come together, and along with many other players, because you need, to win a World Cup, man, you need to have a team that is all clicking. Because if you peak too early, like Germany used to do a lot of the time, they would peak in the group stages, they would peak early on, batter teams, come to the final, they just didn't have the bottle. This year they did, because they had a combination of experience, combination of team chemistry, and quality, and young players.
And it's not like the whole world's watching.
Yes, not like it matters.
It's not like every single person with a set of eyeballs. People took off work.
I'm going to take off work for the Cup. My work is the Copa America.
Yeah,
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take off work. I'm going to play it.
Goddamn day job.
It's my job. But so you hit the nail on the head at the very start. People love to compare.
It's fun.
People will be like, Ronaldo's never won a World Cup. So technically, should him and Messi be the same then because they've won the same thing back accolades? No, it's not. Messi's still the better player. He's still, for me, you can't just judge it solely on accolades. Accolades have to be there. Don't get me wrong. You cannot judge someone. And that's why I will still say that point. Steven Gerrard, for me, was an unbelievable midfielder, but he should have moved. It wasn't a technical fault in his game. It wasn't a physical fault. It was his decision-making
I have
career.
such utmost respect, and this, I think, is an American sports thing. Like Cal Ripken Jr., sorry, baseball, real quick, played for the Baltimore Orioles his whole career.
Yeah.
Derek Jeter, Yankees whole career. I have so much respect for any
So do I.
player
Yeah.
who sticks with one team. I think that's it's not you can't quantify it. It doesn't make you better or worse
Especially
than
a team
anybody
that you
else.
grew up loving.
Because going from team to team and winning with multiple teams, like Mourinho just
did, yeah.
is amazing. It's I guess, for lack of better
Messi-
words, it's fucking amazing.
Well, Messi's got that same quality that you're talking about as well, because he's stuck with Barcelona all his life. People are like, oh, is he not just
I don't
going
know, the transfer rumors every day say he's going to PSG.
They've got a 200 billion transfer clause. They're trying to buy him out. But you're right, and people are like, you know what, Messi, what happens? This is why Ronaldo's better than him, because he's done it in England as well. Messi doesn't need to prove.
Ronaldo.
No,
Cristiano
Cristiano Ronaldo played
Ronaldo.
with Manchester United, won the
duh,
Champions League with
duh,
them.
yes,
But
sorry,
Messi's like,
sorry.
Messi doesn't need to prove shit. Like, he doesn't need to prove shit.
He needs to prove, yes, he does. He needs to prove he's not evading taxes.
Yeah, he needs to prove he's not an alien. That's what he is.
He needs to prove he's not evading taxes.
Oh, that as well. It's his dad's fault. Don't worry about that. But like, if you just watch him, the consistency of the goals, the quality of his game, for me, I will never hold it against someone who said that Zidane, which I said as well, was my best player.
It's
ever
actually
to watch.
the first question I
First
ever
question
asked you.
after, and I was like, for me, he was phenomenal. He won the Champions League. He won the World Cup. He was instrumental in all those things.
So tempted to headbutt
But
you.
yeah, he tempted to headbutt me. He perfected the bald eagle look. He gave so many people hope for receding hairlines by saying you can look like Zidane, but you can't play with him and you can't do
I like my
some
hair.
Cruyff turns like Zidane.
I like my hair.
But he for me was one of the best, and he didn't win he didn't score as many goals as Messi. He just didn't amaze as much as Messi has done. But I watched him throughout his career basically. Now with Messi, I know that for Will, like, even if he doesn't do anything from now until the end of his career, he's still going to be the best that I've ever seen now, because he's a different class. So I don't think you have to hold that World Cup over his head, and he might win it. You never know. He's only going to be 30 by the time they're playing the next World Cup.
So he gets 2 more shots.
I think he could definitely do it. 2 more shots, yeah, maybe 8, maybe until he's 38, like Pirlo. He'll drop into the centre midfield.
What if he gets a beard?
It'd be amazing.
Let's wrap it up.
He's got a sleeve. Beard next. All right. What do you guys think?
Comments?
Does Lionel Messi have to win a World Cup to make him the greatest of all time? And just for jokes, let's have another look at that goat. There.